So today we are talking about tidying up, something that is on everyone's mind right now due to Marie Kondo, someone who I've loved for years, and Mitch ripped on me for loving, but now he's watching the Netflix show and all of a sudden he's sipping the Kool-Aid. But we'll get to the debate later. First, we're going to tell some stories about tidying up and then splice in the science throughout. So who wants to go first with their story?
You go first. You go first.
Me go first?
Yeah.
Me go first.
Yeah.
Okay. So my story is again about when I was a teacher. Okay. And so there was this thing when I was teaching called Ofsted. Okay. It is an acronym. Again, I don't know the
This is in Toronto?
Oh, sorry. This is in England, which is
okay.
actually important because this is about the English education system, which is whack compared to Toronto's, which I really like. Very progressive. Ontario. Love it. So there's this thing called Ofsted, which is like this governmental agency that comes into schools to regulate whether the school is good or bad. So they show up randomly and they go into classes and they walk around and they inspect and they just judge you. And your school gets rated on a scale of 1 to 4. Okay. 4 being the best, 1 being the worst. And if your school gets rated low, parents don't want to send their kids there, and literally, like, schools go out of business. Like,
what?
Like, I was
Do
at
parents have the choice when you like you can be like,
I was at a school where it was like rated level 3, and then there was like a school down the road where like ghosts were, and there were no kids, and it was like barren because it was like rated level 1 by Ofsted 4 years ago.
Oh, 1's bad.
1 is bad. 4 is
like the
perfect.
best you can be.
Yeah, it's actually called excellent, good, like not very good, and like your kids are gonna die here.
Okay.
So, anyways, the school that I'm at hasn't had the Ofsted shows up at your school probably once every 3 to 4 years. It hasn't showed up in 4 years. So I get to this school and they're just like, Ofsted's coming at any moment. Like they're all
How'd they know?
Because it's been 4 years. Like no one, they haven't been. They're like according to
soon. Okay.
So everyone is freaking out about these regulatory. I just picture like people who look kind of like Snape with like cloaks, like busting in, like we're here to see the kids, and we just like I was so scared. And so what like our department had decided was that if Ofsted shows up, you need to do a distillation experiment with your kids in order to show that like we are about science and touching science. Like it needs to be a hands-on lesson because they can't.
So it's like on the spot. If you see them, you're changing your day and you're jumping to that kind of activity.
Yeah, they show up in the morning and they stay for 2 days. So that morning, Ofsted's there and they're like, this is the practical experiment that everyone will be doing so that if they come in, they are like, our kids touch science. Right? So the education system in Britain decides to split kids at the grade 7. Kids who do well on this test go to grammar schools, which are like fancier schools. Kids who do worse on this test go to state schools, where I was. Then they decide to split the kids on behavior. The worst behaved kids get the new teacher. So I am in charge of the worst behaved kids as a new teacher in a school where in general the people are okay, these kids are right. Okay. So also there's a separate stream for the kids that I'm teaching where they don't even do the exams at the end of the year. They're literally being streamlined to like work at grocery stores, and they just need to like do a poster about climate change, get a check mark, and then they like get their diploma. Okay. So these kids have never touched a Bunsen burner because, as we talked about earlier, when I put the Bunsen burner on, they burnt each other. They lit things on fire. They literally cannot use a Bunsen burner.
Oh my God.
It's the last frickin' week of school.
Of the whole year?
Of the whole year, and Ofsted shows up.
Oh, my
and
God.
And all the teachers are freaking because that's also the year that you just, like, play movies for your kids, right? Like, the curriculum's done.
Right.
Like, that's when you put on Ice Age and you're like, kids, like, bring in some snacks. So everyone's panicked because, like, they need to show these people that they are really good teachers, but a lot of even the good teachers and the good students have, like, shut off. So everyone is putting on a performance, okay? So it's nearing the end of the day. The first 2 classes that I have, I actually was like, I'm leaving. Like, I don't know if I can put practicals in front of these kids because they will die. So the first 2 classes I didn't. No one came in, thank God. The last class I have of the day is like my better class. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. So I set up like Bunsen burners, like conical flasks, like the distillation tubes.
Like all around the classroom, you mean?
Like perfectly set up for these kids. Every bench, I spend like hours because I have a break. So when they walk in, they're like, okay, what is happening? Yeah, like they walk in, they're like, I have never seen this pristine glassware, this Bunsen burner, and I was like,
something's up.
I was like, they were like, something's up, but also at that point too, they're like, oh my God, these teachers are panicking. They know Ofsted's there.
Yeah,
so they all kind of
they love to kind of fuck with you. Like,
so okay, this is part of the story. This is again a story about tidying up.
Okay,
so they come in, they all stand behind their bench, and they're like smirking, and I'm like, hello, kids, welcome to your distillation experiment. You've you've maybe never seen any of these things before, but listen to me carefully, and we're going to take water out of this salt mixture.
Oh, my God.
So we start, I'm like, okay, guys, do the Bunsen burner. And they start doing it, and then I'm walking around, and I literally hear, like, one, like, smash. And I, like, look over, and it's, like, that little fucker, you know, like, the guy, and he, like, looks at me and smirks, and I'm like, do not. Then I hear, like, another smash, and I'm like, oh, my, and then I lose them. And I am not kidding. It's like broken glass everywhere. Like kids like, oh, my fingers.
No.
But and I'm like,
are they doing it on purpose or by accident?
Like when you lose control of a class, I don't know how to explain the feeling.
It's like the energy
like
just
literally like
through the class.
Like the like kid who I love is all of a sudden like my finger hurts. I'm like, I relied on you. And like there's the two smart kids who I could just see like looking at me like, you're fucked. You know what I mean? Like that's what, you know, it's like pathetic when there's like a 7-year-old looking at you who's like sad
were your
for
kids
you.
7?
These kids were grade 7, sorry.
Oh, okay.
But they like there was like young kids looking like at me in the eyes like, you're
being
pathetic. Like I'm so happy I'm not you.
You're failing on behalf of our whole school.
The whole school. And so anyways, so there's like smashing, there's glass. Like it's actually like I was like, if someone walked in here right now, this whole school would fail. Like I was panicking. So this class is divided that there's a lunch in the middle. So they left for lunch and I looked at the class and like the remnants of this like horrible mess. And I was like, Greg, you need to clean this shit up. So I started like sweeping all the glass. Oh, I just hit the mic. Like sweeping all the glass into these like buckets. I was bleeding in my hand because I was like,
why were you using your hand?
Because I was.
It's like rule number 1.
I had half an hour to clean this whole classroom so that when they came back, it didn't look like I had that. Like it was
like a murder
scene. It was a trashed lab. So I cleaned it all up. I was bleeding. They come back and then they're like, wait, sir, like half of our materials are gone. Like they have a second half hour. And I was like, I'm crossing my fingers. I'm like, you guys can doodle in your shit. And I just hope to God no one walks in here. And so no one.
Wait. Was someone not there when all that stuff was happening?
No.
Ofsted wasn't there. I thought they were there.
No. Oh my God. No, sorry. Ofsted walks around and randomly chooses classrooms.
So they were at your school?
They were at the school.
Not when the stuff was
in the
breaking.
classroom. Oh my God. You thought someone was watching that whole time? Okay, that takes away the stakes a little bit. I was hoping no one walked into the classroom.
Okay.
But then.
Doesn't take away the stakes. That makes it more like you're literally destroying everything in front of them.
Yeah. And someone came upstairs and like near the end of the class and was like, Ofsted is speaking with the principals below you. The principal's office was below our class. And they're like, can you keep it down? Because all they can hear is like screaming and smashing. And I was like, oh my God. So then anyways, the kids leave. I start crying because it was like the most stressful experience. And then these 2 other teachers come in to clean up. And the one teacher, like as we were cleaning, just looked at me and they were like, this is so bad. They're like, there's so much broken stuff. Like, this is the worst mess I've ever seen. And I was like, I'm so sorry. It was the last week. I just tried so hard. I did what I was supposed to do.
Why did you even try? You weren't even going to stay at that school after.
Well, because they were like the best class. I thought they could do it. And then, I got on the flight, came home a week later, and I dream about this all the time. I dream about Ofsted all the time. I have nightmares all the time about this like Snape walking into my class and me being like, either A, they're just making posters because that's just what I'm told to do and I love them, that's all they can do, or B, smashing glass.
That's my worst nightmare. I could never be a teacher, especially in that environment. I could only be a teacher of like the perfect class. That's how I know you have like so much tolerance for things. Like, I'd be so mad.
It was really funny too. I remember I'd like look at the clock and be like, "It's been 5 minutes? Oh, really? It's been 5 minutes?" Like as if like when you're teaching and things are going wrong, it feels like forever. Like I can't explain to you how that half hour went like 7.
Wow. Anyways. You're a better person than I am.
Why?
For handling that.
I'm like, what, for making kids bleed?
I mean, for even trying in the first place.
Oh, that's nice. But no, I think a lot of teachers would hear that story and be like, that guy should be fired.